For 6 years, finance told my 2 assistants that this was a reimbursement. Now we've found out that this is a taxable fringe benefit. It's not fair to go back and tell them to pay the taxes on that at this point. It was the county's mistake. It wasn't the employee's mistake. It wasn't my assistant's mistake. It wasn't Judge Williams' mistake. It was the county's mistake. It's the county's mistake. It's not the employee's mistake.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before we go on, I do have somebody signed up to speak that I'd like to get up here, and then we'll go back. Pam Smith.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Pam Smith with Bullhead City.
Okay, so this person right here, Pam Smith, she's actually been working for Bullhead City Mayor Steve D'Amico, often showing up to certain events with him, driving the same car. Her and her husband have several Facebook accounts. They also have Facebook groups that they are running and monitoring. And not only are they monitoring these groups, but they're actually monitoring Bullhead City citizens to the point where this person is sending personal emails to city council people complaining about social media posts, which she's going to mention in what she's about to say.
First of all, Supervisor Bishop, thank you for asking that question, because that is one that has been in my mind. Supervisor Gould, that was another question. Who signed off on this? If the county signed off on it, got some problems for 3 years. However,
6 years.
okay, 3 years that I'm aware of. My husband and I are one of the ones that did the FOIA request. The reason we did the FOIA request was because we were seeing on social media people talking about this outlandish travel reimbursement, mileage reimbursement.
This person was working the mayoral campaign for Steve D'Amico. And right after Steve D'Amico was placed in the position as mayor, not only did he put this person on the Planning and Zoning Commission, but it appears that he has had her showing up to Board of Supervisors meetings claiming that she has been wronged when going into the GOP office.
The reason I am here is I'm a newly appointed PC. I hesitated over the last couple of years to sign up as a PC because the environment at the Bullhead office was not friendly and not inviting to people that actually wanted to work for the cause. So I am here in support of item number 8, in support of the county chairperson. Unfortunately, if she can't do her job as written in the bylaws, myself will resign.
She is also going to mention that the person that she did a public request on, who happens to be Ron Gould's assistant, is the district manager of the GOP, which she in fact is, but it doesn't have anything to do with her complaint. So what she has done, in my opinion, is she has gone out of her way to harass Valerie Medina, who happens to be Ron Gould's assistant, and she is doing it for Mayor Steve D'Amico and his wife, Barbara Houston, who was running against Valerie Medina in an election for the position of district manager for the GOP in District 2.
People talk and they don't know what they're saying. So we asked for this information so we could see if it was true. Unfortunately, it was true that Supervisor Gould's assistant, who is also the leader of the GOP in Bullhead City,
not only did this person, Pam Smith, get rewarded for running a campaign for Steve D'Amico, but she also activated what appeared to be an official electoral email account. The point where citizens of Bullhead City thought they were dealing with this person in an official capacity. Other things that this person and her husband have done is activate fictitious accounts for the purpose of harassing the opponents of Mayor Steve D'Amico when the campaign was going on in 2022. And after the campaign was over, she was rewarded by Steve D'Amico to sit on planning and zoning.
the county was in a travel freeze, and yet we were reimbursing $600-700 a month to somebody to commute back and forth to work. That just seems a little absurd. In the private sector, if your employer overpaid you by error, regardless of theirs or yours, you pay it back. And I just don't think it's right. The taxpayers should pay not only the $30-something thousand that was reimbursed inappropriately, but then an additional $30,000 to $40,000 to pay taxes, fees, fines, and give them a boost in their pay so they can pay their back taxes. Doesn't sound right to me. Thank you.
It's not fair to go back and tell them to pay the taxes on that at this point. It was the county's mistake. It wasn't the employee's mistake. It wasn't my assistant's mistake. It wasn't Judge Williams' mistake. It was the county's mistake.
Thank you.
All right, so she basically involved herself in a situation or an item or an issue that she doesn't have anything to do with. Like I said before, she works the internet with her husband, activating fictitious Facebook accounts, and she basically works the internet and then reports back to Steve D'Amico and the rest of the city council members by reporting what people are saying and what people are doing on the internet. And more than likely, she's doing it for D'Amico. Her intentions, in my opinion, are to speak for city officials. And the reason why she is going after Valerie Medina is because Valerie Medina went after Steve D'Amico.
The county was in a travel freeze, and yet we were reimbursing $600-700 a month to somebody to commute back and forth to work. That just seems a little absurd.
At the same time, we also believe that the county should pay for these because the employees were not at fault at this. They were following the county policy. Because, and just to be clear, this is an incredibly unique situation that really, really only applies to a very small, minute number of people, specifically 2 people, where they have offices, where they have a main office, but then they also travel to another location. If it's temporary, then the county would be paying the reimbursement. But here, was it temporary or not? It was not clear from the policy. So that's, again, why we asked it to update the policy. And so that's why we're recommending that the county pay for those things, because the policy was not consistent with what the IRS policy is. And so that's the position we've taken on this.
A lot of things about this surprised me. You know, when we were going through our whole hand-wringing about the budget and not letting people travel for jobs and let alone being reimbursed for commuting, I just think it's unusual that no one actually talked about this or was aware of it or said, hey, if no one can travel, how come I'm being reimbursed? But that's water under the bridge.
Point of order.
Can I finish what I'm saying, please?
It's a point of order. You have to recognize it.
Okay, go ahead.
We banned.
See, one of the problems about Hildy Angus is that she's such an angry little woman. And she is a very spiteful individual, which is why, in my opinion, she is probably the one that had Pam Smith come up to the podium.
Point of order.
Can I finish what I'm saying, please?
It's a point of order. You have to recognize it.
Okay, go ahead.
We banned out of county travel. Thank you.
Again, our position is they were following the policy. There's ambiguity in how the policy is written, and they were following the policy. They were not at fault of this. We do not recommend that the board order these employees to reimburse the county.
So if these employees are allowed to just be responsible for their tax liability, then this will not happen in the future because we're changing the policy.
We have changed it. We've adopted it already. The board has already adopted that on the.
All right. Okay. Anyone else? You want to say something? Okay, so we have a motion and a second, right? We have a second?
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye. Aye.
All right. On to 31.
That Supervisor Gould's assistant, who is also the leader of the GOP in Bullhead City, that Supervisor Gould's assistant, who is also the leader of the GOP in Bullhead City, that Supervisor Gould's assistant, who is also the leader of the GOP in Bullhead City.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.